Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Here and Now Project's final DAC-WA forum of the 2021 calendar year. My name is Kenny Salvini, and I'm the co-founder and president of Here and Now. We serve as a Washington chapter of United Spinal Association, and our mission is to connect and empower the paralysis community in the Pacific Northwest. And we usually do that with in-person support meetings and other annual events, whether it's barbecues, potlucks, annual meetups, but we've switched most of that to the virtual space since COVID hit. And yeah, I'm really proud to see how the fellowship has handled the transition. But we are eyeballing 2022 for in-person events like our 5K for today and the annual meetup. So keep your eyes on the website and the newsletter and social media as well. I want to thank our gold partners, National Seating Mobility, Movement Mortgage, and Kersey Mobility. Without their tremendous support, these forums would not be possible. A bit of housekeeping real quick before, looks like I may be cutting out a little bit. Yeah, a bit of housekeeping real quick before I turn things over to our MC, Elaine. We're asking everybody to leave their videos off during the duration of the presentation tonight. If you have questions, keep them in the chat. We'll do our best to address them throughout the evening, and we will be recording tonight's forum, and it will be up on our YouTube page here shortly. And lastly, we are utilizing Zoom's artificial intelligence closed captioning system for those who may need a transcription. So if you just click on that and enable it on the bottom of your screen, you can get a live transcription. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to our Master of Ceremonies, Elaine Stefanowicz from the Disability Advocacy Coalition of Washington, or as we like to call them, the DAC. Take it away, Elaine.
Hi, everyone, and I apologize for me not having my camera on. I'm having kind of bad allergies, and it's making me not be able to wear makeup, and I look a little frightening. So anyway, thank you so much for being here tonight. We know everyone has a busy schedule, and so we really appreciate you being here. And especially to Sonny Mullen, who is our first speaker. She's coming from a different time zone. So how many hours ahead are you, Sonny?
It is currently 5 after 9 here outside Philadelphia.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, it's 5 after 6 here. So we really appreciate you being here. So just briefly, I'm going to read Sonny's bio. So Sonny Mullen is from the Philadelphia area and joined Help Hope Live in 2016, first working in the finance department and now proudly the outreach manager. Over the past 3 years, Sonny has helped build the outreach department to bring Help Hope Live's mission to a wider audience. With a personal connection to Help Hope Live's mission, Sonny is happy to use her experiences to connect and speak with individuals in the disability community all over the country with the goal of helping them safely fundraise for their medical and related expenses. So again, welcome, Sonny, and please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Elaine, and thank you, Kenny, for having me. I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint real quick, so bear with me. Okay, so as Elaine just said, my name is Sonny Mullen, and I am the outreach manager for Help Hope Live. We are a national nonprofit based here outside Philadelphia, and it is our mission at Help Hope Live to support community-based fundraising for people with unmet medical expenses and related costs due to cell and organ transplants, catastrophic injuries, and catastrophic illnesses. And what we do is quite literally in our name. We help ease the financial burden of a medical crisis. We provide hope at a time of overwhelming need. And we support our patients and their families to live their lives as fully as possible. So as I said, we are based here in the Philadelphia region, just outside the city. We were actually founded here in Philadelphia actually just over 38 years ago. We just celebrated our 38th anniversary last month. We were founded by a heart transplant doctor and his wife, who was a nurse at the time, who were in the early 80s trying to help their patient population pay for their very experimental transplant surgeries. So they turned to a group of their friends and started fundraising. So for the first 20 years of our existence, we were solely here for the transplant community. And then in the early 2000s, we had a local student get injured, and we opened our doors to the spinal cord injury community, and then later the catastrophic illness community. And now we're here to help more individuals than ever. In the last 2 years, we've opened our doors to the COVID community, to the cancer community, and even more conditions such as cerebral palsy, the amputee community, stroke, Parkinson's, truly any community that is living with a catastrophic condition who are experiencing a financial hardship. We are here to help you fundraise for your medical expenses and related costs. So how do we do that? And why would you come to Help Hope Live over maybe another platform you might be more familiar with? At Help Hope Live, we provide you with a campaign page on our website and a one-on-one client services coordinator that gives you all of the tools and the personal support necessary to go into your communities and put on successful fundraisers. At that point, the funds come back to Help Hope Live and are Help Hope Live assets, so they should not affect any of your asset-based benefits or become taxable income to you or your family. And then you submit your bills to us, and we help pay those bills directly to the vendors so that you don't even need to worry about putting out your money up front. Those advantages, along with our nonprofit status, which allows all donations that come in your honor to be tax deductible, and any of your donors with employers and matching gift programs, maximize those donations. These are our three main advantages to why we want people to come to work with us and really use us as their trusted fundraising source. Another reason is that we verify all of our campaigns with medical professionals all over the country. We do this to verify the medical need and to verify the financial need so that the community that we're working with and that you're working with know that we're all doing this for the right reason and that we're completely transparent and we won't run into any issues of fraud that you might see with other platforms or any questions of what is being done with these funds. We can guarantee that all funds that are being raised for Help Hope Live in your honor are being put towards your medical expenses and your related costs. So it's really important to us to build our network of medical professionals and different organizational groups such as United Spinal and all of their chapters that refer their community to us. So as I said, we provide you with a custom campaign page for your fundraising needs. This lives on our website, and this is where your client services coordinator can help you write your story. You can plan your fundraisers on here. Your community can leave messages of hope on here. And your community can also subscribe directly to this page, which allows you, anytime you update your page, they'll get an email notified to them right away. So you don't need to worry about constantly updating your community. They'll get those notifications. You can put your pictures and your videos and keep that community updated so that they know what you're fundraising toward, or maybe you just bought a new piece of equipment. Keep that community engaged and really understanding why you're doing what you're doing with us. So this campaign page can really be used for a lot of different things. And as I said, the coordinator can also help with that personal support to make you successful in your fundraising. They help you figure out who your community is and what types of fundraisers would work best within your community. Do you go to a church? Do you have kids in a school that maybe can utilize a PTA? Does your community, are you really involved in maybe cooking classes or bowling or sports leagues? Where are your interests? We can turn almost anything into a fundraiser at this point. And the coordinators will help by creating press releases, personalized flyers and business cards, social media campaigns, and Facebook fundraisers. Even coming up, we have Giving Tuesday coming up, which is huge for our community online. Fundraising packets, outreach to businesses for gift in kind, and so much more that our client services coordinators can provide you. All of this personal, behind the scenes support that you won't get anywhere else. You are not meant to do this by yourself. We're here to support you to the best of our abilities between our client services department and our finance department. when you're ready to submit your bills. This is our fund request form, and this, along with any other forms you might need, are found on your campaign page and easily downloadable so that you can just scan in your bill and email this to our fund request email, and it'll go right to our finance department and they will process that within 5 to 8 business days. We can offer direct deposit to any vendors. We prefer to pay directly to the vendor as much as possible. We have certain partners that we work with that offer different discounts or services, and we do this often. As you can see, we processed over 4,500 fund requests last year alone. And we have been doing this all from the comfort of our own homes at this point. We went home during COVID and have not, we're still able to process all of our fund requests and get our clients' bills paid in a timely manner. So what are our clients requesting? What do we help them fundraise toward? This list truly is never ending because there's so much new stuff coming out every day, but mainly equipment, wheelchairs, modified vehicles, home modifications, standing frames, FES bikes, exoskeletons. Robbie here on the right, we actually helped him fundraise for that exoskeleton, vision therapy, different types of therapies. We help fundraise toward care, service animals, medical marijuana, caregiving expenses, insurance payments, travel, if you need to travel for specific medical needs or maybe a procedure that you need to travel and you need to get a hotel room, we can help you fundraise toward those costs. And quality of life, really important. We can help you fundraise toward assistive technology, different types of rehab, different types of wheelchairs, all-terrain wheelchairs. We have clients all over the country that live in a lot of different terrains, very rural clients that we've helped fundraise for wheelchairs that help them get around their farms, or we've helped fundraise toward beach wheelchairs. Whatever is going to help you live your life to your fullest ability. Basically, any expense that is related to your condition at this point. There may be a point that we ask for a note verifying the need from maybe your PT or your physician, but as long as they're there to verify that need, we are here to help you fundraise toward it 100%. And so a couple common questions that we will get regarding our program. We've talked about this already. What makes us different than other fundraising platforms? Our 3 main advantages we talked about in the very beginning. The fact that the way that we handle the funds and that they are Help Hope Live funds being raised in your honor allows you and your family to keep your asset-based benefits and to not have them become taxable income. The way that we are a nonprofit, so all donations are tax deductible to the fullest extent of the law. And my favorite, honestly, I say it in every presentation, is the personal support we're able to offer. Between our client services, our finance team, and even social media support, you can get almost anyone on our staff on the phone any day through email, through phone, and get the support that you need and your questions answered. And as I had mentioned, we do have certain partners that offer different discounts or maybe some services, and these are just a sampling. So this is not everyone that we work with, but again, we work with various car companies, various equipment companies. Definitely, Billy Footwear is great for adaptive shoes, adaptive clothing. So it's just an idea of all the different types of expenses that we can help you fundraise toward. A big question and an important question is if there are any fees involved with what we do. I can say that there is no charge to our families for anything that we are doing for you. There is a 3% administration fee on all donations that come in your honor. And this was just lowered within the last month from 5%. So this is a great time to be learning about us and to be coming to Help Hope Live. With all that we've been doing the last couple of years, we're very proud that we've been able to lower this fee for our community. There are the credit card fees online, and we do also give our donors the opportunity to cover these fees when they're donating online. And we're seeing about 60% of our donors actually covering the fees within their donation. So we are here to really make that impact as big as possible when they're donating. what kinds of fundraisers should I do? You might be thinking, you know, what could I possibly do as a fundraiser? Like I said, since we assist individuals all over the country, fundraisers look very different to everyone. Anything from a spaghetti dinner, a silent auction, a benefit concert, jewelry sales, custom materials, percentage of sales nights at your favorite restaurant. The list is never ending. We have individuals who have had very successful yard sales. We have individuals that have very successful annual golf outings. Whatever you and your community are interested in, I'm sure we can turn that into a fundraiser. So just have that conversation with the coordinator and figure out what your interests are, and let us help you turn that into a successful fundraiser within your community. And this year especially, we've turned to virtual fundraisers a lot, which have been very successful. Bingo or trivia nights, gift card giveaways, watch parties. We had one client this year at a Star Trek watch party. So what's your favorite movie? Maybe you can invite a bunch of people to watch that movie with you over Zoom or online, and maybe do some trivia throughout the night and create a fundraiser around that. A very important question we get a lot, and especially the coordinators speaking to clients, is what if I'm nervous about starting fundraising or asking my friends for help? It's hard. Everyone deals with asking for help in their everyday life, no matter what the reason. But asking for help in fundraising can bring it to an extra level. So one thing that we'll do for you right away is that when you become a client of ours, within the first month or two, we take any pictures or videos that you've provided, and we are able to create a personalized fundraising video for you. So this will be a very easy way for you to put your story out to your community without really making a hard ask. You'll be able to, we narrate this, so it's really coming from Help Hope Live, going out to your community, telling your story, and making the ask on your behalf. So this is just one way that we'll be able to get you started. We also really can get you started on Facebook fundraising. It's a pretty easy kind of passive way to start your fundraising while we're maybe helping you plan an event or a larger type of fundraiser. And straight from one of our brand ambassadors, their advice truly was, don't be afraid to ask for help, even in the hardest of times. If it scares you, do it. I had this conversation with a new brand ambassador this morning even, and they said, you know, you don't realize the people you have around you that truly do want to help until you give them the opportunity. It's a lot easier said than done. I do understand that, but we're here to help you through that. And so what has made some of our clients actually choose Help Hope Live with their fundraising? Our top 5 reasons, and this was from a survey done about 2 years ago, are the fact that donations that come in their honor are tax deductible, that our nonprofit status encourages trust for their donors and their community. A medical professional recommended that they use us for their fundraising. How we manage the funds, and that how we manage the funds does not jeopardize their asset-based benefits or become taxable income. So these are all the most important points to our clients for why they're coming to Help Hope Live. And specifically from one of our brand ambassadors, actually, Kristen Sachs. She is the wife of one of our clients, Jeff, who is a spinal cord injury client out of Nevada. He sustained his injury in 2013. And as you can see on their Help Hope Live flyer here, Kristen said that why she fundraises is that the financial requirements to keep her husband alive and thriving are monumental. Insurance only covers a small portion of the expenses. So we are responsible for the vast majority of costs, which includes medication, medical equipment, and home modifications. So we're here to help them fundraise toward all of that. We're really lucky to have Kristen and all of our brand ambassadors. And they're here for you as well. If you want to speak to someone who has been in your shoes that has worked through the Help Hope Live program, we can set you up with one of our brand ambassadors and speak from a firsthand experience of using Help Hope Live. And so after all of that, if you're interested, how might you get started with us? On our website, there is the Get Started button that you can click and start the process yourself, go through the application process, and that will trigger a phone call from a client services coordinator. And at that point, they'll send you out a welcome packet, complete the application that has the terms of service for you to sign off on, and the medical verification form, which is a very simple one-sheet form that's just verifying that need. And then there's a $25 donation that kickstarts your campaign page live on our website, and you are good to go. This process can take 48 hours. It could take a few weeks. It really just depends on getting all of that paperwork back. If maybe you aren't as comfortable going and starting things on your own, you can call our 800 number and speak to a coordinator right away and go through this process. So either of those options are the best ways to get started with Help Hope Live. And we really hope that we can help you start fundraising. Let's say tomorrow, since it is almost 9:30 here on the East Coast, let's say tomorrow we'll help you get started with your fundraising for all of your needs. There's nothing too big or too little. We are not a one and done shop. We are here to help you fundraise for your lifetime for all of your needs. We have clients, like I said, Jeff has been with us since 2013 when he was injured. We have clients that have been with us for 10, 15 years. So we're here to continuously help you fundraise for all of your needs. And here's my information. Here's my email. You're more than welcome to email me any questions you might have, whatever you might need to answer. And our website is on the slide here. Robert put it into the chat, and I know that you guys will be getting sent all of these slides as well, so you will have all of the information. I know we have about just over 5 minutes or so. I do apologize that I do need to jump off after this just because of time differences, but we do have about 5 minutes if anyone does have a question, Elaine. But other than that, you guys, please feel free to email me directly otherwise.
Does anyone have any questions? If you could either use the raise hand feature that's down under, well, for me, it's under reactions and then raise hand, or you can, well, you can't unmute yourself, I guess, can you?
No, or they can write it into the chat too.
That's true. You could, you can write it in the chat. Ian McKay says, thanks, Sonny, very informative.
You're very welcome, Ian. Absolutely.
Yeah, it really was a great presentation. I had never heard of you, and so it's really good to hear all the wonderful things you do to help people. And,
thank you. And now you can never say that again. So today starts that day. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
True. Yeah, and then lowering your fee by 2% is huge.
Yes, we're very lucky that we were able to do that this year. So, you know, at this point, and with so many donors covering the fee, it's really just not even something to think about.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because I don't think anyone has any idea how much it costs to be disabled. So, yeah.
I don't think anyone should have to think about how much it costs to be disabled. It's something that you don't even realize until it slams you in the face.
It does.
So it's just something that we truly understand and appreciate our clients live with every year. And as Elaine mentioned in my bio, and I do have the personal, I have a younger brother with a catastrophic illness. He has a genetic disorder. And so I live with this in my life every day as well. And so I do appreciate that, to understand those costs and having to fundraise and all of the needs that are there for the community. So that is why that's why I'm here.
That's wonderful. And it's good to know that you do have a personal connection, because it is hard for people to really understand, you know, that a van, you know, costs $70,000, and, you know.
Oh, I can tell you that happened to us last year when my parents' van totally crapped out, for lack of a better word, and they had to find the money and the funding in about 2 months to get a new van. But thankfully, my brother has my amazing mother that advocates and was able to find the money, and they made it work. And
that's
so
great.
It makes me happy knowing they're safe every day now, but it is expensive for sure.
It is. And there are a lot of mother bears out there that
absolutely. I like to say my dad's the brawn. He's the muscle in the family. He carries him around when he needs to. And my mom's kind of the front office that makes things work.
We have a Jeannie Salvini there, who's another mother bear. Who
I appreciate all the mother bears. Well, I don't want to go over my time. I know we have some other great speakers that are coming. I just appreciate all of you giving me time during your support group, during your meeting here. And again, please just reach out to, if you had my email, you'll be getting my email, reach out to Kenny or Elaine if you have any questions at all. And we're here to help as much as possible.
Great. Thanks again, Sonny.
Right. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to jump off, but I appreciate you and have a great rest of your night.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Well, what a great organization. So I'm learning a lot already. And so I guess we'll go ahead to our next presenter, Emerson Sekins. Am I saying your name correctly, I hope?
You are.
Okay, great. Well, just to read his bio quickly, Emerson Sekins has been the executive director of the Northwest Access Fund since 2017, having been with the organization in various capacities since 2013. He has a strong background in cross-disability organizing and policy analysis, and has previously served as a co-chair for the Seattle Commission of People with Disabilities. Emerson studied and worked with UW for almost 10 years as he completed his BA in Disability Studies and his MPA at the Evans School. So welcome, Emerson. We're so glad you can be here this evening.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be able to present information about our organization to you all. I'm going to share my screen, and it might not do a traditional share because I'm having two monitors that are also helping with my light in my basement apartment. Let me just, 1 second. Oops. All right. Share. Okay. Actually, let me just see if I can do slideshow. Can you all see my screen?
I can see it, yes.
Oh, perfect. All right. Yeah, so as Elaine mentioned, my name is Emerson Sekins. You got it right. Normally people don't. And I'm the executive director of Northwest Access Fund. And our organization, I hope some of you may know about our organization. We were founded in late 1990s as a way for folks to try to bridge the gap that they have in insurance coverage, in fundraising, and we started as an alternative financing way, so a way to get assistive technologies affordably with an affordable financing rate for families. And just this last year, actually, we finalized our strategic plan in February, no, June of 2020, and it kind of came at the right time given COVID. And so we offer basically people with disabilities customized loans, financial coaching, and other resources that broadly promote access to assistive technology, independence, financial resilience, and pursue life opportunities. So we may have been known in the past for as just assistive technology financing, and we have broadened that, and I'm going to share more about our additional product that we've added to our organization. We serve all of Washington and all of Oregon. We serve all incomes, all ages, and all disabilities. So some people might have the misperception that they have to be low income to work with our organization, and that's not the case. We primarily serve folks that are low income and with potentially credit issues that have been directly caused due to an injury or acquisition of a disability. And then it's all disabilities. So in particular, with our assistive technology loans, we generally, except in the very rare cases, require any kind of documentation. We know that the technology that people are getting is meant to be helpful for them. We're also something called a Community Development Financial Institution, and that's a certification through the Department of Treasury. So it's kind of our way that we should be trusted as a financing organization. And we know that there's a lot of financing opportunities out there, and some of them can be quite dubious or high interest or potentially predatory. And so we basically send all of our data and our information and our audits to the Department of Treasury, and they have certified that we meet the needs of lending to our target market, and that's low-income people with disabilities in Washington and in Oregon. We're also a 501c3 nonprofit. And so All right, I will just get on with it. So I'm not going to belabor the definition of assistive technology, but it's here for folks if you want. I think those in the room know what assistive technology is, and it can be anything essentially that'll help improve kind of your life satisfaction or your ability to do things in different ways. Our primary line of business has been hearing aids. And we actually this year, our modified vehicle loan requests have gone up significantly. And so I directly relate that to the pandemic. People are needing to hop off of potentially public transit and acquire a vehicle for themselves out of safety. And so we've been able to respond to that community needs by offering financing for vehicle modifications. And another one that might be of interest to your group is home modifications. And so I'll go into our products a little bit more in a second, but home modifications can be anything that'll help you improve that. Even honestly, even if it's like paving if you have a gravel driveway and you need to repave the driveway, that could be considered assistive technology. So we can be, unlike our partners at Washington Assistive Technology Program, they have a little bit more of a narrow definition of what AT can be. For us, we just look holistically at what somebody is trying to acquire, how that makes sense for their world, and that they're telling us how it makes sense for their world, and seeing if we can make the loan work for both us and for them. And so this is my slide that basically folks in this Zoom room will probably know that there are huge gaps within funding sources to be able to pay for all of the various assistive technologies that folks will need. And so you've got some covered under different sources. And then if you potentially are using assistive technology for employment purposes, you might be able to access that through Washington State's Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. But if that's not the case, often families are trying to figure out how to fund this on their own. And I stayed, or I hopped on early to see the Help Hope Live presentation because I could see us partnering significantly. So it might be that somebody wants to distribute the fundraising, not just put all for a van, but maybe for a significant down payment for the van so that they can then get a loan for the remainder and have a monthly payment that they can handle within their budget, and then use it to buy other assistive technologies. And so I'll go a little bit more into our financial coaching program later, but we would love to be able to offer support in that way as to how to think through some of these big money decisions that are coming up for you. So we also talked on the previous presentation about what some of the financial challenges that are here for folks with disabilities. And I'll just start this off, and then I have a couple slides for stats a little bit later, and I probably won't go into all of those details, but I want them to be able to be on YouTube and be able to be seen by folks, because I know that a lot of folks in this room not only are looking for information about themselves, but also to be advocates within your own communities and with your own world. And some of this data is very persuasive with regards to why extra supports are needed within the financial realm of the disability community. So the National Disability Institute has done a lot of research and has found that a household with a disability requires 28% more income to have the same standard of living. And to me, that makes sense. I almost think it could be more, given some of the costs and the expenses that are associated with having a disability. But this is a recent stat that's come out from a very reputable national organization. So statistically speaking, people are twice as likely to live in poverty. And then one of the things that we see a lot is folks that can't access credit in the traditional sense from other organizations because they had to have a bankruptcy due to medical bills. As folks know, you might be working in a job and making an income, and then if you if you have an injury, you're likely in the hospital for potentially a long time. And in that, when you're in the hospital, your bills don't stop coming in. And a lot of folks have had to turn to bankruptcy as a way of as the next step to move forward. We can't handle any bankruptcy cases, but we'll be able to support you to get connected to other organizations that might help folks think through that. But I just think that this is a significant statistic that I want, everybody to kind of shout from the rooftops to say that we have huge gaps in our systems for folks with disabilities, is that 67% of bankruptcies are due to medical issues. And that's because either the high cost of care or time off of work. All right. So our main assistive technology loan program is, I want to give more details and information for folks. So we offer a 5% interest rate. There's no fees to apply. There's no fees to apply. And we have basically 3 different buckets of loans. One is our assistive technology loans. And again, that can be, if you come to us and say what you need and say how it is assistive technology to you, we'll definitely consider the request. We might not always be able to do the loan, but we'll definitely consider the request. And so for there, we offer loans up to $25,000 with 5-year terms. And the term is decided in the underwriting process. So as we're reviewing the paperwork and budgets, credit scores and all that stuff, and also connecting that with the useful life of the technology. So we generally don't go to a 5-year term for hearing aid loans. We've done it before, because the hearing aids might not last a full 5 years before you need it to be replaced. And we do that not just for our risk or purposes for us, but also you don't want to be paying off your first hearing aid if you need to get a second one, or a second pair of hearing aids. And again, as I mentioned, our modified vehicle loans are really up this year. And so we offer up to $40,000 and up to a 10-year term. And as I said before, that's determined in the underwriting process as to what a budget can handle. And I'll go in a little bit more detail about how we determine our loans and make loan decisions in a second. And we partner, we partner a lot as being the bridge financing for different organizations. So someone might have the money and have fundraised for a portion of it, and or they might be supported by the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, where they'll fund the modifications, but they won't fund the actual vehicle itself, the chassis as it's called. And so we can often come in to do a loan to support, knowing that the vehicle will be modified, but you will purchasing at the start a non-modified vehicle. And with modified vehicles, we work with people from a variety of spectrum of income with this. As Elaine mentioned, I think you said $70,000 for a modified vehicle, and that's definitely true. And so we actually work with a lot of folks that might have high incomes and high credit scores, and banks still don't know how to underwrite the loan. Basically, they don't know how to underwrite a vehicle itself and space age technology individualized that's going into a vehicle, and it costs almost the same amount as the vehicle itself. So that's another reason why we actually increased our loan amounts recently within the last 2 years to be able to meet a better need. We previously had it at $25,000 level, and we realized that that's not what the market is anymore. To have a modified vehicle, it's very expensive. And we wanted folks to be able to get better vehicles that they can last for longer, last for longer in their lives, essentially, and break down less. So as I mentioned before, we do home modification loans, and banks also might be a barrier to be able to modify your house. So if you own your own home and you go to a bank for a home equity loan, often they're going to be doing an underwriting process, like what are you doing to your home to be able to increase its value, to mitigate the risk of the loan. And A lot of banks don't see accessibility modifications as adding value to the house, meaning that amount that they can sell it for. I think we have friends in the disability community, Barry Long and others, that are proving that wrong, that these are actually very valuable. And especially in the future, I think they're more and more going to be needed in assets to different home sales for the right person, right? If you're selling your home, you could sell it to the right person and the right family. And so we offer up to $40,000 for home modifications in a 10-year term. And we can do different lighting, different flooring, adjustments of light switches, also smart home technology if you want to maybe buy a whole suite of it at once, but to connect it all. And then yeah, essentially, if you come to us and say you need this for your home, and we can look into that. We do a lot of bathroom modifications where someone's going to need a roll-in shower and potentially like removal of cabinetry or adjustment of cabinetry so someone can get under the sink to be able to use the sink. So basically, if you're wondering whether we would cover it in a loan, please give us a call, and I have our contact information later. Because we can see if we can consider the loan. It doesn't mean you'll automatically get the loan, right? But it's that we'll be able to consider the loan. And I err on the side of yes. We err on the side of yes rather than no, I would say, for my 8 years working in the organization. All right. So we have multiple ways that you can access our loan application. We have an online portal where you can put in all of your information, save it for later if you can't fill it out all at once, and then be able to come back to it. Our application is, as a warning, is generally more extensive than other underwriting organizations due to our size of our organization and the folks that we're working with. Because we want to get to a yes, and the more information that we have, the better for us to be able to see someone's complete financial picture. And so we do take a budget to see what folks' budget is every month, along with their income. First step, to get to the next step is that you have room in your budget to be able to make a loan payment. We have a loan calculator on our website that you're welcome to put in an amount, and our interest rate is 5%, and it'll automatically tell you an approximation of what your monthly payment could be if we agree to those terms of the loan. You can also download it. We just did a fillable application and a PDF, print it, and then mail it to us, email it to us. Or if you want to talk to somebody through your application and do it over the phone, we can set up appointments to do that, so that you're not necessarily filling it out of the computer, but we'll have one of our employees talk with you on the phone through the different applications. We do pull credit reports, and so I wanted to get to the next step. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, our loan officers do review budget, and then they do a credit report. And we actually use a version, this is getting into the weeds, but FICO 9 is we buy that credit report. And in that credit report, it de-emphasizes medical debt and paid collections. So when folks come to us with medical debt, we're getting a credit score that's a little bit higher than if you went to other organizations, because we know by the nature of the folks we're working with and the communities that we're working with that people might have credit issues that have been brought on by a disability, or maybe the credit issues predated the disability, but we use that as one piece of information to inform the application. I can assure you that we do loans to people who don't have a credit score, or people who have had credit issues in the past due to financial challenges that have been often brought on by a disability. We do require income documentation and verification like a bank, as most lenders do. And then you have to basically express the willingness and the ability to repay the loan. We have loan decisions will then be made not by the loan officer, but they'll be made by a committee process. And that's what banks do, generally speaking. And so Our loan officers basically present your loan to the committee where they will be able to ask questions about this, of whether somebody's considered something or whether they can just get more information about a specific area of somebody's budget or financial situation. And so that's how the loan decision is made. If the loan is approved, well, actually, let me say, if the loan is denied, we never, because we know the technology is so important to folks, we never want to say like, no, you're not able to work with us. We have financial coaches available to be able to support folks navigate their finances. I'll provide more information in that a little bit later in the presentation. We can let you know what you would need to change financially speaking before an application would be considered again for a loan. So if you're approved, we will very quickly, generally speaking, send you closing documents, and that can be online where you can sign with DocuSign. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that software. And you have to review the closing documents with the terms of the loan, make sure you understand it, and then you sign the closing documents. And once we receive all of the information that we need that's in the closing documents, we will disperse the loan, not to you as an individual, but to the vendor of whatever you're buying. And so, for example, we cut a check to the modified van dealer for the loan amount. And we do that for a variety of reasons. One of the main reasons is so that we don't impact someone's disability benefits. So because this is something that you have to pay back, the Social Security Administration doesn't see this as an asset. And often folks need to take out a loan because they're not able to save above a certain amount to be able to get something that they need. For example, $2,000, they can't save more than $2,000 due to being on supplemental security income that comes with an asset limit where you can only have a certain amount in your bank account and a certain income. Yeah, so the big thing is that we make the payment directly out to the vendor. And the next kind of phase of the presentation, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about our financial coaching program. And I'm happy to stay around and answer any questions we have about this AT and home modification and vehicle modification loans. So as I mentioned earlier, that I don't need to go into all of these statistics, but I know that folks are advocates in their community, and this can be very important and persuasive. And so there's a general snapshot of the financial stress amongst people with disabilities. And so folks are more likely to report that they could not come up with $2,000 if an unexpected need arose. And that might actually be by design of the benefits that they're on. And they're 3 times more likely to express that they have extreme difficulty paying bills. And that goes back to the slide I did earlier, is that you need 28% more income to have the same standard of living. All right. And then, so people with disabilities are more likely to also use non-bank lending. And so that's a term basically that encompasses payday loans, rent-to-own stores, potentially gift cards that you can swipe or purchase at a grocery store or another place that sells them. I heard the statistic once, and each card is different when you agree or you buy a prepaid card, which you might need to do any kind of financial transaction online, because electronic banking is becoming more and more the norm. That for every $1 you put into a prepaid credit card, you basically get 75 cents out of it. And that's because of the fees that potentially will be associated with the card. So it could be that you have a balance checking fee, an activation fee, a per transaction fee. And so I'll go into more about our coaching program, but we're very interested in helping you look through what products would be beneficial to you, and what would make sense for working within your circumstances, and look to help you get a safe and affordable bank account. And making sure that you understand how to knowing the terms of the bank account that you're on. One of the things that often folks go to payday lenders is that you get the money quicker, and you know based on the signs how much it's actually going to cost you. If you go into a bank, you don't, the terms are buried in like a letter potentially that's with the finest print that anybody's ever done, and it's hard to understand the terms of that. And so we can help folks make sure that they understand that they have to keep a minimum of $500 in the account, or and they, you know, have these kind of restrictions on their account with, maybe they can't write checks, but they can do debit card purchases. And so, and also twice as likely to be unbanked. And then folks with disabilities, as I said earlier, they're more likely to be overdrawn on their checking accounts, be late on their mortgage payments, take loans from their from their retirement accounts in order to meet their requirements of today. And this one bums me out to no end, but they're more likely also to skip medical treatments because of the costs associated with them. That one's personal to me. I had a friend that was going in liver failure for a second time, and she did not want to go into the hospital because she didn't want to be indebted that she had just finished out of paying off after a decade. And so this is where also, if you're doing advocacy in your own community, these statistics might be helpful in that way. So we can do a variety of things with a coach, and we have financial coaches on staff that are here basically to help you meet your goals. We're a coaching program and not a counseling program, which means that we don't help with investments, but we can help you in a lot of different other areas, whether you're looking for motivation or support in actually like learning more about money, or figuring out how you can make your money work for you in different ways. That might mean help with budgeting. So figuring out how to budget for certain events. And like, there's a lot of different strategies for budgeting that that might work for you, or that might be the best for your life. I use Digit as an automatic savings thing where it just takes money from my checking account and then I can easily send it back to my checking account. But it's like saving without me actually having to press send. It's this program that's doing that, and it sends me my checking account update every morning, essentially, which is good to make sure I know that I have enough money in my account to meet my anything I'm using to purchase, or any kind of bills that are on the horizon. So not a lot of people know that in addition to having a credit report, which basically tracks your debt obligations to lenders, also your legal financial obligations, and that there's actually a similar report for a bank account. So if you've ever overdrawn a bank account and gone into debt and then had to close the account without paying off the debt, or even just consistently going into overdrafting, that will be on a check systems report. And so people will then be barred from maybe opening up a bank account, because the banks basically send these reports to each other through their kind of a similar credit report poll. And so folks might have a difficulty accessing a check system, accessing a bank account. And so we can support people with navigating accounts that meet national standards that might have different aspects to them, like where you can't write a check, so you are not able to overdraft, and you'll be able to get access to a bank account again and reestablish that kind of relationship with a banking institution. I will not go into Able accounts because that is the next presentation. And so, but we can, if you're looking to have support with kind of an Able account, opening it up, we can help you out with that, and we can help you learn more about it and walk you through all the steps and answer questions. In addition, I think the Department of Commerce is also able to do that, but we'll more later. We're able to go over credit reports and guidance to improve your credit score, or even build credit from the beginning. And so our loans, actually, we report all of our loans to the credit bureaus. And in doing so, that will potentially build somebody's credit. You need credit to get credit, essentially. It's a very odd system that we have. Just as I said, like, so if anybody is having difficulty making their loan payment for a month, just give us a call. Like, that is, as long as you're communicating with us, we are interested in working with you. And that might mean taking a lower payment for a month or skipping a payment for a month. But we really want you to talk to us. And in doing so, we can report to the credit bureaus that you're paying as agreed, because we've agreed to accept a lower payment or no payment for that month. So that's the big thing I want to get out, is just give us a call and talk to us if you're having a hard time paying your loan. And we know that stuff comes up, that are other expenses that are big that you need to prioritize in certain ways. So we have an opportunity loan that's the latest and greatest, I don't know about greatest, but the latest loan in our within our organization. And it's broadly defined. So it's a loan that can be used for purposes that promote independence, financial resilience, and a life opportunity. So we would need you to explain to us what you're looking for and for a loan. And we can see whether that fits this definition. But as you said, it's fairly broad. This is available to all people with disabilities, all ages, all incomes, all disabilities. And it's a loan for up to $3,000 with a 5-year term, or same 5% interest rate with no fees. Again, it's reported to credit bureaus. But in order to get this loan, you have to actively be working with our financial coach or a financial coach. And that's how they'll often introduce this within the coaching session after you've connected with them. So that's the first step, is coaching. These loans have been used for employment and self-employment. Big one has been rental security deposits and moving costs. We've occasionally will refinance debt. We just did a refinancing of a veterinary bill that somebody got a care credit card, and it was about 23% interest. And it was for their service animal, which is, that was a requirement for their disability. And so we were able to refinance that debt to make it a lower payment for them, and again, a more flexible loan that will fit into their life. Dental work, we used to not be able to do dental work because it wasn't technology unless it was an implant or dentures. And so now if you're needing a dental procedure, you can give us a call and see if you can see if you qualify for a loan up to $3,000. We've done loans for winter fuel, car repairs, and then furniture that might be more accessible to you, or just have work, either we do a sit stand furniture a lot, but that's more AT. But so I'm coming close to my time, but I wanted to note that our financial coaches, not all of them are benefits planner, but we do have a benefits planner on staff. So all of our coaching is informed with that in mind, and we can get access to information about your benefits. We would, with your permission, talk to Social Security and have them send this report saying, here's so-and-so's benefits that we have there. And then our benefits planner knows how those benefits would interact with some common financial scenarios. So how it would be impacted if you go back to work, how would it be impacted if you inherit money, how would it be impacted if you get a raise and you increase your income. And so we really encourage benefits planning. And then there are programs that we can also introduce to you that might allow you to go to work and still access caregiving. People might be familiar, or probably are familiar, with Healthcare for Workers with Disabilities program, where you can access your health insurance and your caregiving supports with paying a different copay potentially. And Washington's really great because we just removed income caps for that. So if you make a lot of money, your premiums will be higher, but you can still make a lot of money. In Oregon, that's not the case. It's capped, I think, at around $50,000. So yay, Washington, I guess. And then, work incentives and program, and then explore health insurance options. So if somebody gets Social Security disability insurance, income rather, that comes with Medicare, but there's a 2-year delay before you can get on there. And so we can maybe help you figure out how to bridge the gap in that. And then I think that's basically it. We partner with Washington Assistive Technology Act program. So if you ever have a device that you're looking to donate, they've got a great reuse library and coalitions around the state of Washington to be able to donate to a lending library for folks to have lower cost equipment or equipment that's for free based on income. And then this is just self-promotion, purely self-promotion. 88% of our clients said that assistive technology that they got improved their independence. 96% said that they use their AT daily or weekly. And then 97% said the purchase that they made improved their quality of life. So we hope that you're able to give us a call if you're experiencing any financial hardship or you have just financial questions. If we can't answer the question, we'll look to connect you to a resource if there is one available. And then I like showing pictures of our clients. My favorite photo is the one that says "Beware of the Poodle" next to his ramp that we helped finance for him. And then please give us a call. We have a mailing address and our website and our info email will be able to get you to the question to the right person. And so I will pause there. I'll stop my share and I can stick around afterwards. I realized that I had things until 7:05, so a couple minutes early.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it was so amazing. This is Elaine. Thank you so much. I can't even tell you how much I learned. It's in the chat from Meg. So if we have just a minute.
Yeah.
Do you know if it's true that if you're on Medicaid and over 55 and pass away, they can go after your estate before those listed in your will?
So I'm not a trained benefits planner, but I know enough to just be dangerous, right? So this is where getting a formal benefits analysis can be really important into knowing those rules. And so my answer is to give us a call and we can pull your benefits information or answer generic questions like that. And I realize that bad or not 100% sure information can potentially be bad in especially in financial situations.
Thank you so much. That's Meg. Does that work for you?
Great.
Oh, I don't know if she's able to.
Yep. Yeah, she just said I will call. Great.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Emerson. And yeah, if you wouldn't mind sticking
yeah, I will stick around till the very end.
Till after, yeah, and then people will have a chance to ask you questions. So thank you again.
All right,
so
thanks.
What a great organization.
Thanks, Elaine. I'll stop my video and look forward to Peter's presentation.
Okay, thanks a lot. Hi, Peter.
Hello. Thanks, Emerson.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Next, we'll hear about Able accounts from Peter Tassoni. Am I saying that right?
Italiano, Tassoni.
Tassoni, okay. He's the state's administrator of the Able Savings Plan and the Developmental Disabilities Endowment Trust Fund Program, which is a special needs trust. And Peter has a son with a developmental disability. So take it away, Peter.
Awesome. So I hope everybody can see the snowman on the screen. That's a yes.
Yes, sure can. Awesome. Those are great.
Yeah, I just gotta get. There we go. Now we're moving. So Able is the new kid on the block. It's only been around for a couple years. President Obama signed it in 2014. And here in Washington, we launched in July of 2018. So a little over 3 years. The key point is any and all money is ignored. So essentially, you can save beyond that $2,000 asset limitation that Emerson had talked about a little bit. These are also tax advantage savings accounts, meaning that you don't pay taxes on the earnings and you don't need to pay taxes on the money when it comes out when you take a withdrawal. But you are limited to $15,000 per year in contributions because it's tied to that IRS gift tax exemption. And after 3 years, 2,500 accounts and $20 million in assets are being saved by your fellow Washington residents. Although Able is perhaps a game changer for people, Congress wasn't super generous in the sense that the disability onset had to be before age 26. So that means you can't necessarily age into a disability. So generally, aging and elderly, they probably won't be eligible for an Able account. It's something that you were born with or something that happened pretty early in your life that created the disability. And disability eligibility is related to Social Security. So it's Social Security is about whether you can work. So disability means that you generally cannot work or cannot work at the same level, cannot do the similar work that you're doing. And you can show that you meet the eligibility for Able by either having been eligible or collected SSI, Supplemental Security Income, or SSDI. Or you could have a physician, so a psychiatrist or a medical doctor, certify that the individual meets the definition of disability. So age of onset by 26 for your disability. So if you got that down, then it's pretty easy to open up an account. We're principally an online entity. So you can either go online at our website and fill out the forms and submit them electronically, or you could go online and download the forms and fill them out by hand and then mail them in. But then it takes $25 initial contribution to get started, depending on, you know, if you do it online, you might be up and running in 3 to 5 days. If you mailed in your check and your paperwork, it might take us a couple of weeks. But essentially, once you get open up, you can start withdrawing that money that you have in your account as needed. Again, $15,000 per year in contributions. For those individuals that are collecting SSI, you're limited to the first $100,000. But otherwise, everybody else, the full $500,000 that you can get into your Able account is exempted, ignored, not counted towards that asset limitation. And this is the fun part. Once you have some money in your Able account, you can use it to buy qualified disability expenditures. So these are 10 really big categories that are very, very broadly defined, so that in principle, and actually probably in function, just about anywhere the person's on their lifespan. So whether we're talking a smaller child, a physician, perhaps a younger working adult, a middle-aged adult, an elderly individual, all these 10 buckets are going to capture them just wherever they're needed and whatever they need to spend their money on. So basic living expenses could be including things like groceries and household supplies. And, you know, Emerson was talking about assisted technology is one of those other things we do that you can spend your money on, but everything and anything that you can imagine can be used to spend your money. You know, the one thing is like morally suspect items, of which, you know, let's say gambling is one of those. So you cannot take your Able money out and use that cash to go gamble at the casino. You can certainly go to the casino, buy a meal, see a show, pay for your show, you know, pay for the lodging and the entertainment aspects of a visit. You just can't use the Able funds to actually gamble. We worked with all our sister agencies to ensure that all the various federal means tested benefit programs are exempting Able account balances. So Apple Health, Apple Food, all those programs in their rules do not count Able. Even the Social Security Administration has instructions for their case workers in their palms. And for HUD or subsidized housing, they also exempt the Able program. A feature of the Washington State program is being able to have a debit card, which is like very similar to a gift card, but our fees on ours are much cheaper than what was Emerson was talking about. So it's just an optional $1.25 per month to activate our card. You can load up anywhere from $10 to $20,000 per event onto your card, assuming you have that much money in your Able account. Just like online banking and various other online financial entities, all the transactions are tracked online. So you can go into your account, you can pull all your deposits, contributions, all your withdrawals, and all your trades onto your debit card. And then you can actually see the vendors that you're using your debit card at, just like you would get when you get a credit card statement. These are FDIC, the money that's on the card is still FDIC insured. It's still considered part of the savings account of your Able account. However, you can't use these cards to pull out that cash to go in the casino, and you can't use them at ATM. So again, you can use it at online or at point of sale retailers for any of those 10 categories I showed earlier, like from buying services or items, paying your doctor's copays, dental care, stuff like that. Another feature about the Washington State plan is we do have a gifting page. So you could set up essentially a GoFundMe campaign through your Able account and notify friends and family, post it to social media that you are needing some money in order to attend, let's say, the Winter Special Olympics. You need some help with transportation and lodging so that you can participate in your sport in your event. And then all the contributions then come into the Able account, and then you can use those proceeds and go buy those. Once you get on your trip, you can buy the things that you need to do. You can also, those folks can also mail in contributions and they get put into your account. So another way, the extended family for the holidays and for birthdays or special events in the individual's life, they can make gift contributions to the Able account. Again, the $15,000 annual limit still applies. So if we're in the month of December and grandma wants to give Johnny $5,000, but Johnny's already got $12,000 in his account, well, do the math, 12 and 5 is 17. We're over the limit. So we will reject, the plan will reject the full $5,000 from grandma. And so hopefully grandma and Johnny are talking, they realize, okay, I've got 12, I can take 3 in December, so grandma can give Johnny $3,000 into his Able account. And then January 1st, which is the start of the new calendar year, the start of the new tax year, then grandma can put the other $2,000 into Johnny's account. So that way Johnny gets the full $5,000, but we stay underneath that $15,000 annual contribution limit. The Able is not just a savings plan, it's also, we have investment options. We have 3 different portfolios that the individual can choose to put their contributions in, ranging from the conservative to the aggressive. And so this is just the ratios of the mutual funds that we're using, with more stocks having the potential to earn more money, but they have the potential to lose money. And so it's more volatile, more risky. And then conservative is in some safer investments like bonds and other fixed assets to minimize the risk, but that also means you don't get as high a return and stuff. So we have tools on the website to help folks educate themselves, develop a little financial literacy and make those choices. But definitely we've partnered with Northwest Access Fund before. The folks that work with Emerson through the coaching that they do can help with individuals either signing up for their Able account or actually making choices potentially about how they can invest their money. They can't go into detail about counseling, but they can do some coaching for you. I can't give you counseling advice either legal or financial advice, but we do have some tools on the website that can help folks through that process if it's new to them. So once you realize you're eligible, it's a thing that you want to do, you have some extra money that you can put into Able that you need to protect, either for not jeopardizing your various benefit programs, you just have extra money that you want to invest and earn, make your money work for you. Get signed up. It's $25 initial contribution, but we do charge $35 maintenance fee every year to keep the account open. And if you choose the debit card, that's a $1.25 fee per month. And then depending on which of those investment portfolios, whether the savings account or one of those 3 investment portfolios, there's different fees. So that starts at 30 basis points, it goes up to 38. And that is a 0.3 to 0.38% fee. So Able nationwide, they're relatively inexpensive to get into and keep your account, and Washington State in particular has one of the cheapest, one of the lowest cost programs in the nation. For miscellaneous fees, if you are wanting things mailed, since we're mostly an online entity, and that's one of the ways that we keep our expenses down. So if you need things mailed to you, you want your actual withdrawals sent to you as a paper check, you want your statements, your quarterly statements, or your transaction histories actually mailed to you instead of emailed, then we're going to charge you a shipping mailing fee. You know, wire transfers, NSS, or not sufficient funds. If you send us a check that bounces, we're going to charge those typical banking fees against the account also. For those individuals that you do an additional able to work contribution. So you can go up to the single person, the federal single person limit, poverty limit for a 1-person household, which for the next couple of months is $12,760. In 2022, it's going to go up a little bit. So that combined with that $15,000 in standard or regular contributions and another almost $13,000 in able to work contributions, somebody could be putting $28,000 per year into their Able account. And to me, this is like a Roth IRA on steroids, in that you can put a lot more money in than I in my mid to late 50s can do, 3-4 times the amount that you can do in a normal Roth IRA. There are no early withdrawal penalties. You can spend it on a whole bunch of different things that support the disability. And you don't pay taxes on the withdrawals. So it can be your daily saver. It could be your emergency fund. It could be your health savings account. It can be your retirement account, all rolled up into one account. So Able is pretty dynamic, and in that respect, you know, while preserving those various public means tested benefit programs, that $2,000 resource limit, it allows folks to actually develop wealth and ideally pull themselves out of poverty and stuff like that. So Able can be a game changer for folks. We also do payroll deduction. A lot of our account owners, the beneficiaries, can also qualify for the savers credit. And then organizations, Rep.e organizations, maybe group homes, care providing organizations for beneficiaries, they can also do what we call organization authorized legal representative. That's similar to mom and dad of a minor, or power of attorney or guardian, someone that can run their Able account for them. So ALR, authorized legal representative. So it's a really nice situation where maybe they're in a group home, they've outlived most of their family, and so there's nobody else really that can help the individual manage their account, so the organization can potentially step into that role and help the person. The website, we have lots of materials. one pagers, comparisons, but videos. A lot of these videos are 3 to 6 minutes long, with some of them with me, like a video blog, but explaining the process, explaining the different attributes of the program, and how to use some of the features that we have available. Again, online entity. So if you have this information, you could go to the website, you could put all that information in, and in 15, 20 minutes, you're set up and ready to go. And then it's just a matter of when we can cash your check and get that into your account to get you started. If you're actually going to be managing somebody else's account, we're going to ask for the same information on you along with the beneficiary. And over there on the right side is, for minors, it's parents generally or legal guardian. Once they become an adult, you need a power of attorney, guardianship, or conservatorship over the individual. But like I said, Congress wasn't as super generous as they could have been. First you have that age of onset at 26, but there's also the catch that SSI, supplemental security income, SSI, only that first $100,000 is exempted or ignored. So if you get $103,000 in your Able account, you now have $3,000 in resources. You're over that $2,000 limit. So that cash benefit is going to be suspended until you do a spend down. There's no effect on your medical, Medicaid in particular, or Apple Health here in Washington State. And then once you get below that $2,000 limit, then the cash benefits will start up again. If you're paying rent with Able, you need to take the money out in the same month that you use it. So if you take the money out on the 29th and pay the landlord on the 2nd, the housing authority or even Social Security make the $600 that you use to pay rent can be counted as a resource. So the best practice here, the rule of thumb, is take it out in the same month you're using it. Take it out on the 2nd, pay the landlord on the 5th, and that way it all happens in that same month. And then similar to the question that was asked of Emerson about Medicaid recovery, is Able assets are one of those assets that can be used to satisfy Medicaid recovery. If they do a lien because the individual beneficiary received Medicaid services, any proceeds, any remainder beneficiary assets there can be used to pay off the Medicaid recovery lien. So I do 2 programs: the Special Needs Trust, folks, and then the Able program. They can be used together, and there are some nuances and advantages to having both, an account of both, so that you can move money around. And there are some advantages to that if you're interested, give me a call, because that's a little bit more detailed conversation. Right now, we're seeing a heat map of Washington State. The darker colors are where we have more enrollments, and essentially you're seeing where our enrollments are is along the I-5 corridor, where more people live, and they're in the Spokane Valley area. This is a relatively new statistic I like using. So we have a couple folks that have enrolled before the first birthday. We have one that is already 91 years old, but you can see the peak there. The blue line is in that transition age, early, maybe in college years. So that is where right now most of our enrollees are at age-wise. But again, as long as your disability occurred by age 26, you can be at any age and join the Able program. So again, we have a 91 and several people in their 80s that have joined and started Able accounts. My crystal ball is usually pretty cloudy when we talk about things happening in Washington, D.C., Congress, and the IRS in particular, but the IRS did surprise us and drop final rules on us a couple months ago. And one of the benefits, one of the advantages of their final rules is they're expanding the definition of authorized legal representative. So for myself, as a parent of a minor with a child with a disability who's 13, I can run his Able account on his behalf. But as soon as he turned 18, I would have to essentially get guardianship, or he needed to sign a power of attorney giving me the power the authority to run his Able account. But now we have an expansion of what an authorized legal representative is, and that could be extended family members of an adult person. So that could be a spouse, that could be parents, that could be siblings, aunts, uncles, grandparents, things like that. It could be someone who actually has guardianship or conservatorship over the individual. It can also now include representative payees, whether that's a family member fulfilling that role or an organization that does that for multiple people. The second expansion is you can name, if you have another family member or another person that has who's eligible for an Able account and has an Able account. So if my son has a sibling that also has a disability that qualifies for an Able account, and they both have Able accounts, you can name that sibling, you can name that other person as the designated beneficiary when the person passes. So instead of doing Medicaid recovery, the Able assets get immediately transferred over to that second account, that second designated Able person. And so we boycott, we skip over that Medicaid recovery piece, and the money just goes to the other individual. We are going to do a switch about direct trading. So right now, if you happen to choose a savings account plus one of the investment portfolios, so you can have two. So maybe you've got an 80-20 split. So when you put in $100 in contributions, 80 is going to go to the investment account and $20 is going to the savings account. When you take out a withdrawal, it's the same split. $80 is liquidated from the investment portfolio, $20 comes out of the savings, and then we send you a check or a transfer that $100 to your bank account or to your debit card. What we're going to change is when you take that $100 out in the future, is you can make the whole $100 come out of your savings account. So we can ignore that 80-20 split. The $100 comes out of your savings account, and the rest of the money stays into that investment portfolio, hopefully earning a higher rate of return. So that's maximizing your ability as the beneficiary and account owner to have your money work for you and earn money for you. Here in Washington State, on January 1st of 2022 is the new statute goes into effect for uniform guardianship. So it replaces the current guardianship law, which means there's a new conservatorship level, and that's someone who has control over financial assets of the individual. So they can't make medical decisions, a lot of other decisions as a full guardian does. They can just make decisions on behalf of the individual related to their finances. And then the courts are also adopting this lower threshold of supportive decision-making, which is a great tool for inclusiveness and stuff. So our folks that have a disability that just need like a little bit of coaching to help them reach their decisions that can support them in their decision-making is going to be utilized. So just a quick recap. Older than 26 and open an account, but you have your disability had to occur before age 26. You have to be a Washington resident when you join, but you can move out of state and you can take your Washington Able account with you. It's just at the time, because we use taxpayer dollars to set up the program, you have to be a Washington resident at the time that you enroll. Again, $15,000 cap on contributions unless you have able to work contributions. Anyone and everybody can contribute. So mom, dad, sisters, brothers, extended family, the beneficiary himself, herself, theirself, employers, charitable organizations can all make contributions to the Able account. The individual, if you found $20 on the sidewalk, you can deposit that too. So any and all can make contributions. And again, if the individual is receiving SSI, the first $100,000 is exempted. If they're not on SSI, then the full $500,000 will be exempted from being counted towards that asset limitation. But you can do the math at $15,000 per year is going to be decades before somebody probably goes over 100,000, but certainly before somebody gets up to $500,000. So we have a lot of resources on the website, from video blogs, social media, communications and stuff like that. But you can always give us a call at the call center. You can send me emails and make phone calls to me too if you have additional questions. So that's it for the slide deck.
This is amazing information, Peter. Just, again, I've learned so much.
Any questions?
Yeah, I think there was a question from Meg. Meg is saying she has an AbleNow account and not the Washington State one.
Yep. So Able now is fine, but that's the Virginia plan. So Virginia is a national plan. They're very aggressive in their marketing. So a lot of people, if you just typed into the search engine Able Washington State, probably the first one that came up was probably AbleNow. But yeah, so they're a little bit more expensive than Washington State as fees go, but you know they do very similar things. For those individuals, Meg, not necessarily you, but for those that do want to change their plans, you can roll over from one Able plan or transfer from one Able plan through to another, and there you have a 60-day window to open and close. Sometimes there's no fee to doing that transfer. Sometimes there is a fee, and yeah, when Able first opened up Northwest Access Fund and others, we were telling people, because we had a problem with our statute, our state statute, that we couldn't open, to just get people involved. To get them into an Able account, because usually some people had an urgency that they were coming up to that $2,000 limit and they needed to protect that money. They didn't want to spend it down, and because we were delayed in getting open, I didn't want people to be unfairly impacted by our state's slowness to get open. So consider it if you want to, Meg, but it's only if you want to.
That's great. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. Does anybody else have any questions? You can put them in chat or raise your hand. And
I've got a question for Emerson, if possible.
Go ahead.
I can jump in. Emerson, I was just wondering if for the home modification loans, is there is part of the coaching, does that require, or does it offer people help getting vendors and contractors, or do they need to have those logistics in place before they come to you guys for a loan?
All right, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So for us with the home modification loans, we generally don't have the bandwidth to direct you to contractors that specifically have this experience. We tried in the past to see if we could connect up with like the Master Builders Association and others, and I think we might try again, but it's such an individual choice as to who you want to work with. And we essentially, for all of our assistive technology loans and home modification loans, ask that somebody, bring the vendor to us that they want to work with. In our coaching program, we can, I think, help you identify what things you should step into, or steps you should take prior to hiring a vendor or releasing any money. Either a contract in hand or a deposit, not the full payment. And so yeah, it's also just a logistics issue with the whole state needing to cover. We just don't have the bandwidth to be able to do that.
That makes sense. Yeah, appreciate it.
Kenny, did you see Meg's comment? Said she went through pathway designs for a home modification estimate. Nice.
I know there's organizations like Bath Plus that has that are some resources, but yeah, like Emerson said, it can be I mean, there's contractors everywhere that do things, and I had a friend of a friend and things like that. And so it's, I imagine, yeah, that list could be long, but the Master Builders Association, I know they do their Rampathon yearly, but yeah, it would be cool to, you know, have more resources so that us at the Here and Now Project can funnel them in those directions for you guys as well. So it gives us something to work on as well.
Penny, do you know if the Rampathon is only for the Seattle area?
That's a great question. Emerson,
yeah, I know that's kind of out of left field, but I
Yeah.
thought I read something about that it wasn't Pierce County.
Yeah, I'm not familiar myself.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I can look it up.
Yep.
So any other questions, or does anybody want to share experiences with any of these programs that they've, you know, have tried themselves, and have any tips for other people?
Well, I'll jump and just say that, you know, to thank Emerson, Peter, and Sonny, who's not on now, but it seems as though, and maybe Emerson and Peter can correct me if I'm wrong, if we, like, you know, in theory, someone could be utilizing all three of these services at the exact same time, because they are different products that can be exercised with different mechanisms. I can imagine, you know, using your Able account to pay off a low interest loan when it comes to getting a car. Like, you may not be able to get $75,000 in your Able account to buy the vehicle outright, but if you could get that $40,000 loan and then have, you know, your own GoFundMe that helps you get a monthly payment into your Able account, then you could actually, you know, go through that to get all those things paid. So.
This is Elaine, and you just don't think that you'll ever be in this situation either. And I've been in a wheelchair 39 years, and they came after me for an overpayment with Social Security disability from 8 years ago. And yeah, and they took out $440 a month, garnishing my wages, and kept my tax returns for 2 years. And I had to declare bankruptcy or lose my condo. And I also had a wheelchair van. And so it was a really difficult situation that you can all of a sudden find yourself in. And then, of course, we all know about, you know, we used to not live this long with spinal cord injury because of all the different, you know, complications that can happen. It's the secondary stuff. It's not even the spinal cord injury. It's the secondary stuff that can happen. And yeah, so, you know, it's really, really expensive to have a disability. And but Dick Sage just wrote that he believes the Rampathon is only in King County. So thanks, Dick, for letting me know that. So it's a great program, though, and I wish they had it in Pierce County. Maybe we can advocate for that. Peter, did you have something to say?
Yeah, so another advantage, perhaps, of thinking about Able account is it cannot be used as collateral. So it cannot be the backing for a type of a loan that the individual may be taking out. It's not usually an asset used in bankruptcy, but it does, at the time of death of the individual, will go to their estate. And so then the estate would potentially could be used as collateral and or bankruptcy and things like that.
Okay. Yeah. And then Peter, like you know, like through United Spinal and other advocacy organizations, I know that there has been pushes towards extending the age limit for Able accounts. Is there any updates or news on that per se?
Yeah, so that's right now there is a bill floating in Congress, and so here in Washington State, Kathy McMorris Rogers, who's a representative of the east side, the Spokane area, was the prime sponsor of Able, and she's the prime sponsor of getting the Age Adjustment Act, and so that's changing onset from age 26 to 46. So should that pass, now we're capturing people that maybe had a workplace accident, or maybe just in their younger adult life got into a vehicle accident or some other type of incident where it created a disability. So yes, I think once we get that passed, it'd be great, because it build more of a population that can use the Able account. But currently, I think they maybe have a quarter of the legislators on board with the bill, and it hasn't come out. It's still in committee. It hasn't come up for a vote yet. But the initial Able bill took almost 20 years to get passed. So we're 3 years into getting the age adjustment. So, fingers crossed it happens sooner than later.
Do you know how they came up with the 26 age limit?
Yeah, that was, there was a cost associated with not taxing these earnings. And so when Congress, the GAU, and then there's another group there that they do the budget analysis, they do the projections. And so initially it was going to be everybody, no age onset. And Congress decided that was too expensive. Too many billions of dollars of tax revenue that they would not be receiving. And so then they placed the age of 26 in there. So
Okay.
a very arbitrary age number. But the idea was, okay, well, we'll keep working it. Eventually, we'll go for 46. Once we get 46, and we'll try for 66. And so the idea is eventually we'll get everybody into the program that, so there's no eligibility criteria like that. But the way government moves, maybe decades.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it moves. I like to say it moves at a glacial pace, which is why it's a good reminder for everybody to get active with folks like Disability Rights Washington and other organizations, United Spinal, and contact your legislators and put the screws to those folks that are making those decisions.
I also feel like we need to be behind legislation to change income couldn't make it so prohibitive to work without losing your benefits, or, like couldn't make over $11,000 a year gross when I was on SSDI, and I made $17,000. To me, that's poverty, level, but they still came after me for an overpayment. So it just is frustrating. Peter, you're going to say something?
So that $2,000 limit was set in the early 1980s and has not been adjusted for inflation. So if we forwarded that, it would be near $5,000. But there is another bill in Congress to change the asset limitation to $10,000.
Oh.
But that one requires opening up the Social Security Act, and there's a lot of resistance to monkeying around with Social Security.
I'm sure. Well, thank you for that. Okay, well, any final words, or Kenny, is there anything you'd like to?
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys again for all of your tremendous input and the great work you guys do. And with that, we'll let everybody have their Wednesday nights back. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.